When the ChatGPT came, then at time in Google, there was a lot of like, how come we are so behind?
What do you feel is going to happen to the FANG product managers?
A lot of tech people, engineering will move to product management role now.
Become somebody who's so emotionally intelligent that you can connect with people and beat the robotic layer.
Number of YC companies that pivoted to voice was like something like 50% of last batch or something.
Wow, that's a big indication of where the world is headed. Today, I think in the next half an hour, we'll try to code something together. OpenAI also took a massive risk where they essentially just said that.
So,
Ajitesh.
Yeah, Ajitesh.
Who are you?
Ajitesh, batchmate of Varun from Kellogg. We were there for our MBA. Before that, I was at IIT. So I did undergrad in engineering and then worked in a startup in India, Fitso, which was a fitness tech startup. Was there for 3 years. And that was like, that was a mobile app building time. Everyone was building mobile apps. Monetization was really difficult in India at that time, the consumer space. We used to sit outside park and all and ask people to download, get feedback. And that's when I got into running also to understand like what it takes.
And Fitso was something that used to aggregate physical fitness areas or sports areas.
Sports areas. So it started with a very simple idea that running is more fun when you do together.
Achha, okay.
So you could create a micro events and you could join at a spot and run. And very trivial like idea, and like people used to like, well, how will you monetize? But that was a good entry point. Running was a very passionate community. But idea was to go to fitness and then aggregate.
Correct.
So that's I was there 3 years. Did everything from product operations, marketing. Realized later that this role is a product management role. And then I joined Google and was there for 4 years. First in the storage, in the cloud space. And cloud was at the booming in 2020. It was at that time understood that everyone would go to cloud. It's just a matter of when, like what percentage of workload. And then last 1 year, I was part of the Gemini team there. Like how we could use Gemini models to make cloud much more efficient and easy to use for customers. So launched their first Gemini powered infrastructure product. So that gave me the exposure that, okay, what is all is happening? These models are so powerful and coding space was evolving so fast. And that led me to a couple of side projects, which now has led to.
No, but tell me something. So you also spoke about this, that when you were working in the Gemini team, you started understanding that something is going to happen. Right. And this was what, 23?
23, yeah.
3 to 4 years down the line, the world that we live in is going to be heavily influenced with what is happening in the world of AI. And one is, when did you understand that? And the second is like, for our audience also, it will be fun to kind of understand, to lay out the story of AI. AI is, it's not as if it's not been around. It's been around for
1970s.
In the 1970s also AI was there. So it's been around for a while. But what changed? What happened due to which suddenly now you and me are talking about AI? We are talking about AI in this podcast.
Our parents are talking about
Everyone
AI.
is talking about AI, right? So what happened? Like if you could lay that story out, it will be a good like journey for us also.
Yeah, even I was reflecting when I was at Google, like how things are changing. And one of the things that has been a pattern in AI is like there has been AI cold, AI winters and AI hot. Like 1970s it came up and then people tried implementing in the real world, did not happen. Then 1990s again things like Microsoft launched that Clippy or something and it captured some imagination, but again did not meet the customer expectation. And then for a long period of time, it was, people called it was AI winter, till Google created a few things. So one among them was that it trained trained two models and sort of one questioning other in sort of challenging other way. And these two sort of kept improving each other. And that was one of the innovation. Second one was that it launched a image collection and recognition thing, but it trained a model that was really good in recognizing the images.
Image recognition
there. And then OpenAI came. Initially, people like we were just making jokes and people were like, okay, they will also get into some sort of
same scalability,
privacy. People will make jokes and they will have to take it back because the pattern had happened. But that pattern did not happen this time. When the ChatGPT came, so then at time in Google, there was a lot of like how come we are so behind, and there's a lot of soul searching, like all the discussion in our hallways were about what is happening. So everyone had to launch in some ways, do something about AI. So our team in cloud also, we thought, okay, what we can do. And at that time, our models were a lot behind, like 6 months or something behind OpenAI. But you just took a bet that this arc will continue evolving, and you will keep training with larger model and all, and it will keep improving. So that was happening in the Google side, and that similarly could be applied in the like I was trying to build something, and I was like, okay, if you take a bet now that this is a very bad model, but 2 years down the line it will be really good. So you could imagine some different use case. Mobile was one of our revolution that we experienced, but we did not experience internet or any other. So that felt to me that, okay, a lot of experiences will change, and everyone was saying, I think one of the way to see the scale is mobile only impacted consumers. Cloud only impacted B2B. And still big. And internet was the last revolution.
Which impacted everyone.
Everyone.
Both consumers and businesses.
And AI is one such. So massive impact, like all the factors we're saying. So that led me to like, okay, let's take that.
And I mean, I speak to a few folks at Amazon also, and I say that, did you guys know that something like this was going to happen? And 2022, just the way you were saying that in the hallways of Google, like people were disappointed that how did ChatGPT end up doing this? I think one of the reasons was that, it was the innovator's dilemma also, like, classic innovator's dilemma that, there were things that are working for Amazon, and there are things that are working for Google. And at that point of time, nobody had solved LLMs because they were really bad.
True.
And I think OpenAI also took a massive risk where they essentially just said that there isn't a lot of innovation that is, needed in the model itself or in the architecture itself. Let there be a lot of compute. Let there be a lot of really well structured, arranged data. Let there be really good tokenization, and something will come out of it, right? I mean, in a basic sense, and they threw a lot of compute, they threw a lot of data at it. Now, nobody knew what was going to happen, but now I think, at least right now, the formula is that, right? It's that, you take a large neural network, you apply transformers, you throw a lot of data at it, you throw a lot of compute at it, and somehow there's a model that comes up, right? So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and sort of there was a technology trend, and there is cultural and sort of customer preference aspect to it. And second, OpenAI, because of resource constraint, had to take a bet on one thing. So Google had 10 similar architecture. We could do in image, we could do in audio, we could do this, and how to put all resources. So OpenAI being a smaller team, they took like, okay, we can do just one thing, and we will just focus everything on LLM. And they just launched it, and it just worked. And then everybody now is copying.
And I feel that even the fact that it was a chat application, I think it democratized the use of AI. Like, today my dad is saying, okay, I want to go to, like, my parents are going to Japan. So pura Japan ka itinerary is planned on ChatGPT. Right? If it would have been an application which was tougher to access, then my dad never would have used it. So I think the fact that AI was made available to the world through an application that everyone knows about, which is chat, I think it's also creating this buzz around AI, which is pushing people to kind of think, hey, is this actually going to happen? You were
and the aspect of ChatGPT to bullshit, like it was very hard for a newcomer, new person to distinguish that, okay, is this the real answer or it's not a real answer? And that also captured imagination. Oh, it's so interesting. It gave me this answer. And people were okay with that, right?
No, I think, I mean, just the realness of the answers was what was catching attention. What do you feel is going to happen to the FANG product managers?
Deep expertise in any of the in the software domain. Like if you are an expert in distributed architecture of building storage solutions or machine learning, these cases, these people are 10x powerful now with all the tools that they have. The product manager's job has become a lot more different because now you are expected to not to maybe build something extra, like maybe just demo instead of just talking about it or writing a PRD. I also feel in big tech, a lot of tech people, engineerings will move to product management role now because there will be less engineering. We have less engineering jobs. So what will they do?
Yeah.
They already were working with product managers. They have some taste. They're working in the support. They were working in the customer cases, and some were really good, but the salaries were not there.
Yeah.
Those things. So I think that will change. So we will see a lot more technical people also get into, and similarly, people who are non-technical learning the skills to build something and being generalists. So I think from both sides, people will be trying to bridge that gap in the generalist.
Yeah. I mean, the takeaway, if I were to think about it for everyone, is that, either get fantastic technical skills,
Deep expert.
or become great at building products, taste, talking to customers, or become somebody who's so emotionally intelligent that you can connect with people and beat the robotic layer of all the machines that are going to compete for your jobs.
Like agency and taste, I think everyone is saying is.
So when you say agency, what does that mean?
I mean, people who would just take initiatives. Right? Like, okay, this is the wall, and some people will say that, okay, I need to wait 2 weeks now because this can't be done.
Yeah.
And someone will just prototype or get someone to do something, hire a sales agent, try a new AI tool to get keep the things moving.
So agency and taste.
Agency and taste.
Yeah. So when we spoke about this journey of AI, most of it was from the terms of LLMs, right?
Yeah.
I think the revolution in AI becoming mainstream today is all due to LLMs, large language models. So for our audiences, can we just quickly talk about what are large language models? What are some terminologies that our audiences should be knowing about large language models? Because today only I saw news that Meta has launched something which has 10 million context window, right?
Yeah.
So today I was reading about what context windows are and why they matter. But I feel that can we make it easier for our audience to just understand what are the things that you need to know about an LLM? And let's start off by explaining what an LLM is.
Yeah, so LLM has been trained on large corpus of natural language data, which is generally like internet data, which has been curated a bit, and it learns the pattern and it creates what we call parametric memory. That what internal to it is the model of the world. And then there is something called RHLF that is done, which is at the end of the training, it's given some high quality example that it will predict something and it'll say it's wrong or it's right. So you train it that way too at the end. And that imparts it some magic that it becomes really good at not only predicting, but predicting in a way that gets you the right, near to the right answer probabilistically. It's in some way very intelligent in turn. That's one of the Google researcher gave me. Initially we were building that, treat it as a very intelligent intern, but does not know anything about you. It's stateless and has no context. And you give it a prompt and it will give on its own probability and model an answer. And so that's what when we make a call, we send a prompt. Based on its parametric memory, it will give a response. And overall, how much prompt or things that you can give is the context window.
Correct.
So when we started, I think 8,000 was the first GPT context window. They quickly doubled it to 16K. Then Anthropic came with 200K context. And it was like, oh, wow, 200K. Then Google came 1 million context and internally had 10 million, but they never released. Meta now has 10 million in the public domain. There is a company in a startup which has 100 million context window. And idea here is that you will have infinite context window.
Eventually.
And why it's powerful is some of the things where you can give now whole CCTV footage or a complete video and ask a question about it. And it will be much more intelligent.
And it'll be able to analyze. So you have decided to build in VoiceAI.
Yeah.
So let's start talking a little bit about VoiceAI. Why did you choose VoiceAI?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things was that voice was being done for some time, like a year and back. And the way voice was being done was that you first fed the data to a speech to text model, which will transcribe. And then once it's transcribed, it's given to an LLM, which will understand, has reasoning. And then you give it to a text to a speech model, which will convert it to a speech. Now, this is okay for many of the use cases, but let's say you are saying something with a very sad tone or you're shouting. give me this cup of tea. So that does not get captured.
Because wo transcription mein it will just come as a sentence.
It'll come as a sentence.
We don't know how agitated you are. Or mood will not come.
Your mood will not come as a customer, or like whether your thing was a question when you were trying to understand a concept and those things. So what happened, like a lot of companies started training multimodal models, including like speech-to-speech models. So Gemini took an early bet in a multimodal model that, okay, you will input audio tokens and will output audio tokens. And this is much more low latency. It will understand different now parameters of tonality and those things. So it was in the cusp of this revolution, like new ways of doing things. And the traditional LLM and STT, that was also becoming a lot more reliable.
Yeah.
So like, I think there was a stat that number of YC companies that pivoted to voice was like something like 50% of last batch or something.
They pivoted to voice now.
Pivoted to
not entering voice, but like
like whatever they were doing, they just left and pivoted.
Because it's a big indication of where the world is headed.
Yeah, it's a good time to be building something new, and a lot of experiences could be done better when it comes to voice. For example, when you are trying to understand something, we try to listen to stories and teacher, like that's how we have been doing from the...
Yeah, we've been listening and learning.
And so I imagine that a lot of experiences will be rebuilt in voice. And what was happening was just barely scratching the surface. Like some companies have built really good sales agent maybe and platforms, but you could build a lot of for good quality experiences if you pick a domain and just think through the customer experience. So that I thought that's it's a right technology curve, and I could also marry it to one problem that I had that led me to
maybe your role is very different, but your goals are growth oriented. So the thing is that I feel that there needs to be a platform which, number one, needs to understand where you are coming from, take in that context, and create customized courses for you based on what your goals are over the next 3 months. And everyone will have different courses. So if you are a product manager working in Google on increasing your B2B customers on cloud, versus if I am a PM but in Amazon trying to grow NPS on say Alexa, then the courses that we should get should be very different. Otherwise, in a regular world, the alternative would be you would also be doing a product management course on Udemy. Even I would be doing a product management course on Udemy.
Too many.
But that does not make sense because your goals are very different, my goals are very different. Today, I think in the next half an hour, we'll try to code something together to reach at least an MVP level.
True.
And then we can make this code base open source so that anyone out there in the audience can
just build upon it.
Right? So if suppose we had to start building this, and it's a voice AI agent because the course still needs to be delivered by a voice AI is what we have committed to. Where would we start from?
That we take an MVP. We take a two-step approach. Like there is an MVP that we want to leave you with, but we'll do a demo first, and then we'll make progress toward the MVP. The MVP would be that you come to a website, and the step one is that you tell us something about you, that what profession you are, and like what level, which company, and maybe some context you get there.
So some inputs that the user needs to put in.
On the basis of that, the AI, based on its career knowledge, it will figure out, okay, these are the 5 things that make sense to you. Not the sort of course content and all, but you need a course on negotiation, you need a course on managing engineering, you need the course on maybe doing sales in a cold pitching scenario. So it will give a list of course. And here we'll take a large sort of reasoning model like O1 or O3 to do that. And then for each of these outline that we get, we could do a deep search where it will scan all the online information. Maybe it has access to your organizational past learnings or things you have done in the past, and then create a course content that this is what each of the course will translate to. And then we'll make an API call to ToughTongue to create a scenario to teach you that course. Of course, here we will just create a demo. So we will. So what I'll do is that I'll create a demo project in Vercel.
And what is Vercel? This is your basically you can build a UI.
You can build a UI.
Very basic UI. This is v0.dev, right? So this is a project that we have created in Vercel.
Yeah, so it gives me some boilerplate code which is already deployed. So at least it has page structure, some routing built in. So now this is the main part. So first we have defined in OpenAI this call that we are saying OpenAI that you are expert in creating conversational AI training scenarios, and your task is to generate realistic, challenging situation to practice. And we are at this time assuming that the first agent has already done its job. It has given that these are the title and description, and now OpenAI's job is to go and research and figure out like what should be the scenario name, what should be the AI instruction. And once it gives me in this format, which is in the XML format, I am parsing it to get the description, AI instruction and all. And then I will be sending that to ToughTongue AI. So once we receive the thing from here, we make the call to ToughTongue. And ToughTongue AI needs the call in this way. That you need to pass name, description, AI, body instruction. And for now, we are making everything public, recording code to false. So it will make this call. Now, all of this is happening in this conversation card, that scenario card that we walked you through. That we take the response from, we take the response from the OpenAI. We parse it and give the response back to the ToughTongue. So this was the sort of basic version that now we have building block. Now what we will move is the same thing will move in a more bigger code base.
Let's try to, I think, theoretically understand what's happening in the background while this is running. So what you have written here is that this is a AI first coaching platform. The first step is tell us about yourself. The second is get your customized courses, and the third is practice and improve. Right. So the first thing that is happening here is that we are gathering, in step number one, we are gathering information from the user. We are saying that your professor is
product manager.
So what we did instead was we passed that prompt,
product manager,
with the variable being as product manager, and these are the 5 courses that came up. Right?
True.
Right? And while here we have put only one parameter, which is role, they can actually end up growing that much more and taking like 10, 20 different parameters if they have to, right?
Company, LinkedIn post, your LinkedIn URL, and
it could
GitHub
be
URL.
It could be your JD, it could be your job description, it could be anything. We are converting that, we are taking all those variables, we are adding that into a prompt that we have designed. Right?
Which we can walk you through that what is the prompt.
So this is the prompt that we have kind of put in, right? See, right now what we have said is, as an expert career coach who designs interactive training scenarios for professionals, please generate 5 courses suggestions for level and profession, which is exactly the inputs that the user is giving right now. We pass that prompt,
product manager,
with the variable being as product manager, and these are the 5 courses that came up. Right? And we agree to this. Then what we can do is we can scroll down, and we can pass these to the next LLM.
And each will be sort of map reduced, like each will go to its own worker. And will deep research. Like in ideal way. For now, we are just using one mini call.
Correct.
To create the course. So the prompt for this one, not much variation than what we had, which will go here.
So this is the prompt, right, that we are sending to O1 Mini. Where we are saying that, hey, now I have 5 titles and 5 descriptions. Take them in and create courses for me with a lot of content. And the output for it should be created in a certain format
that the next API
can ingest. Right. So that is the scenario and scenario name and so on and so forth. But what has happened is that here are 5 courses that have been created. Should we play one?
So we'll just pick one course from here.
Hi, I'm Jordan, the lead engineer. We need to discuss the prioritization of our next development cycle, particularly regarding the new feature versus addressing our technical debt.
Hey, Jordan. I agree that the new feature has a lot of technical debt, but we do also need to reach to the customer fast. And what we first want to prove is the value before thinking about over-engineering it. So I'll stop here because it's a demo. But the idea is that, and we have not, that each of these courses, what the role of the ToughTongue AI here is to get the learning scenario and play it in the nicer way that you could interact. And all of these will be recorded and you could analyze. That part also I did not integrate. That maybe here there should be an analysis page where all of these transcript is analyzed. You were said that, okay, This is where you lag. This is what you.
Brilliant. And I think our point, right, our entire reason why we did this, even this conversation and this demo, was to kind of tell people that, everyone thinks right now that there's an API or there's an LLM and you can just interact with it, but people don't understand that you can actually you can build a product with multiple LLM
you
calls.
Can chain things. You can make one sort of delegate to other.
Delegate to other, or you can have two LLMs have a conversation with each other. So thank you so much for coming here. It was a pleasure. This conversation,
Thank you.
I learned a lot, and I hope